it's time now for the Hawk Zone. It's been a minute, and tonight the Seahawks' first preseason game. You know it's time to have our friend Terry Hollimon on the couch with a preview. So,
yes,
Terry, when I hear preseason game, I instantly think, oh, this doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
But it's important because it kind of gives us a vision into things, right?
It's a vitally important thing. A lot of the veteran players don't like preseason games because the opportunities get hurt and just extra work.
Yeah.
But it is vitally important. You got to think these guys haven't played a meaningful football game in over 7 months. The coaches haven't called plays. They haven't been put in position to hit each other full speed in that amount of time. So it's important for these guys to get back and get acclimated to full-time, full-speed football. It's important for some of these young guys. They live out their dreams. They're going to get an opportunity to make an NFL football team and make their dreams come true.
So it's kind of like a dress rehearsal.
Completely what it is, a dress rehearsal for professional athletes, yes.
I like it. All right, so who are some of the preseason players to watch that you've been seeing out there?
Well, there's a number of guys that the Seahawks have really high hopes on. The defensive back, Devin Witherspoon, who they picked up in the first round, is somebody we're going to watch throughout the preseason. He's probably not going to play a lot tonight because he's been banged up a little bit, but he's been a fan favorite of everybody out there watching the preseason camp. So we want to see what happens with him, of course. Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's a guy that I'm really excited to see. He's going to play wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. You think about DK Metcalf is a superstar at that position. We got Tyler Lockett, who's been a long-term superstar at that position. We're going to add another guy who has the potential to be a big-time player in the NFL, so I want to see him as well. And then we talk about the running backs. There's a guy by the name of Zach Charbonnet. That's a fun name to say, right? Jacques Charbonnet. He played football. I've watched him throughout his college career, so I want to see how he pans out behind the Kenneth Walkers and DJ Dallases of the Seahawks.
All right, so as far as rookies, kind of mentioned some of them vying for the team. Who's really kind of sticking out?
Well, again, I think Zach Charbonnet is going to be a guy to watch. They have a running back by the name of Kenny McIntosh, who's a guy that we're going to have to watch because, again, when you play running back in the National Football League, you're not going to make it through an entire season. As we saw last year with the Seahawks, everybody got banged up. So we want to see what kind of depth we have behind Kenneth Walker, who is going to be a franchise running back for this team. But
so mentioning that, I also want to see the veterans that are fighting for their spots. That's a hard point.
It is a hard point, but you got to think looking at the Seahawks team, the veterans that they have and the positions that they have, these guys are pretty solid. So I think they like the veterans that they have, unless, again, it's the NFL. Anything can happen at any point in time. But the veterans they have are good and they're solid. You may see some changes with some guys further back in the depth. The wide receiver room is very full. So it's not a lot of room for mistakes there.
All right. So we're not going to see that much Geno Smith.
No.
No? Okay.
Geno Smith signed a big contract last year, and they're not going to risk getting him injured, so we probably won't see him at all tonight. See limited action from him during the preseason as well.
Right. Well, last year he didn't even know he had the job, right?
Yeah. So I think, right now he's very secure. He has a long-term contract, and he has the #1 position, and the coaches and the players feel confident in having him that.
It's got to feel comforting and knowing, but also a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I mean, you think about last year and the situation he was in. I want to just explain something to you so you understand this. Being a quarterback is arguably the hardest thing to do in professional sports.
Yeah, I would imagine.
There are thousands and thousands of plays, literally thousands.
Thousands of plays?
Thousands. You think about different plays, different formations, different player personnel, different situations, different audibles you have to think about. You have to know what every player is doing on the field at any given moment, and then you have to execute perfectly every single time. Now, when you have someone that's chomping at your heels to get your job, that's a lot of pressure.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's a lot of pressure.
That's why the great quarterbacks have such great focus and can turn it all off. All right, we're seeing a lot of the Seahawks legends out there at training camp. Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, Richard Sherman. What does that tell you when you see him out there?
It tells me a couple things. It tells me that, first and foremost, this coaching staff welcomes the history that is involved with this franchise. And they want these players to be around some of the older guys that have experienced some great championship football here in the city. So that's the first thing. They want them to be exposed to that. And the second thing is you see these older players, they must see something in these new guys that they felt themselves, that they could tie into and be a part of and helping them grow. And like, you know, most of these guys that were part of that Super Bowl franchise back in the day, they were young guys that had chips on their shoulders. Really athletic guys, and they see that in this young Seahawks franchise right now.
That is so cool. All right. By the way, we only have about 30 seconds left, but I want to talk about the new voice in the broadcasting booth, Kate Scott, making history.
Love it.
Love
it's about time we had someone like her in the mix.
I'm so excited. All right, you can watch all 3 preseason Seahawks games right here on King 5. The game tonight starts at 6:30. Kickoff is at 7.